We are in a brand new age where technology flies almost at the speed of light. Technology is always going to be advancing, but for us as artists, we have to figure out, does it stifle or assist our creativity and ultimately make us better or worse artists? Let's talk about it. I just want all of my chips. Welcome back to Artistry Ascending right here at Track Life. You know what time it is when you see me on this orange couch. I'm your man, the meticulously multi-talented Mark W, coming at you one more time yet again. How are you? Today, we're gonna be diving into the future of the music industry, where we'll be talking about the innovative technologies and musical trends that's happening right now. Today, we're gonna do things a little different. Yes, of course, you see me sit on this couch. On our side camera, you'll see our producer, Darius. Darius, wave to the people. He don't say too much. Anytime you see me talking to somebody off screen, it's normally this guy. He's the producer on the show. He feeds me the lines that he never says. So today we're gonna get him out of his shell and we're gonna have a conversation. So normally we bust this thing up into segments, and we still might do that, but we're gonna let it flow. We're just gonna go back and forth. So if you can, join us. There's gonna be a whole lot of commentary that happens. So please feel free to join in the comment section. Let's talk about it.
So, Mark.
Yes.
We talk a lot about this all the time. AI is a thing. AR is a thing. VR is a thing. So one of the conversations we had off camera before we got here was about the new evolution of AR, VR.
Right.
We got the Vision Pro that just dropped with Apple.
That's crazy.
Too expensive. We got the Meta Quest 3, which is reasonable price.
Wait, the Meta Quest what?
3.
Now, which one is that one?
So that's one Zuckerberg has.
And
so
that's where, so is it a goggles set
Same
too?
thing, goggles. Doesn't have the fancy screen like the Apple one, but it's $500.
That's actually very reasonable.
So,
because $3K for you're buying a computer.
Well, $3,500 is just as is, plus what storage you want.
What?
Plus
Oh,
carrying
the
case,
upgrades.
plus the Apple Care. So
it's crazy.
So that's on that topic.
Yes.
$3,500 is not $3,500. $500 is $500. But
Right.
we're talking about going to concerts. The reason why I brought this topic up is VR concerts becoming a big thing again.
Right.
You know, we had COVID. That was a thing that every artist did, Fortnite. But as an artist, how do you feel about that? You know,
so the VR concerts, I think, I'll say this. One of my homeboys took a friend, one of his friends out on the date to a VR concert. I believe it was Meg Thee Stallion. I looked at, I think they either just had regular 3D glasses on or something like that. No, they had on a pair of goggles, but it was weird. They told me the experience was interesting. I didn't really get a good gauge on it. I guess for me, I'm two-sided about it. At the time, because it was COVID, you had to do it. There was no way around it. So in that sense, it's like, oh, bet, this is awesome. I love the fact that we can still do concerts and there's lack of contact. The only issue though is I can't necessarily, it's the same thing what we did with Raw Stream. I can't reach out and touch the people. Not that I actually would reach out and touch you.
Be somebody.
You wanna be somewhere. You better wake up and grab your, oh no. Wash some dishes, never mind. So the only thing is that human interaction that you miss. I think I've seen a few articles and I've seen a few videos where they're now recreating the being, especially with the
ABBA.
Vision Pro.
Yeah, Vision Pro, I know when they launched it, Alicia Keys' rehearsal room was one of the additional things. So immersive viewership is kind of a big thing, or spatial awareness. So the ability to actually see and be part of the experience with the goggles on is interesting. But when you still have access to the real world, does that mean anything to you?
Right, because again, at 20, when we went through COVID, you didn't have access, so it was very pivotal.
Exactly.
Oh man, this is awesome. But now, do I want that option over seeing you in person? Let's take it from the consumer side. If I have access to see you in person, I'm gonna do that. But since it's now virtual, does that cheapen the cost?
True.
You know what I mean? I'm wondering now, if it's just I'm sitting at home and I happen to have a pair of goggles, now I can experience it. And then there's that limitation, if I don't have a pair of goggles, I can't enjoy the concert.
Yes. I mean, capitalism at its finest.
Oh,
but,
God.
I mean, but on the other side, we talked about this before, is a lot of people have anxiety of going to concerts.
Ooh, that's true.
And we talked about in previous episodes, by the way, the link will be in the description.
He's shameless plug. He's going to do that.
There's always opportunity where performance is performance. Yeah. But you always say to yourself, whether it's 2 people, 100 people, in front of a screen, in front of the crowd, I'm always going to give my all. Now, Alicia Keys, like she's been doing it forever. So you're going to get a show from her. But say you're unable to travel to see Alicia Keys, or Alicia Keys is not coming to your neighborhood. Does that add-on ability to now where like Beyonce was just out here twice in LA? Now, I wasn't buying no Beyonce tickets.
I've bought Beyonce tickets.
Good for you. That means he should buy a Vision Pro at all times.
Right.
But you had the opportunity to have an opportunity if you bought a ticket saying, hey, by buying this ticket, you can now experience me in Renaissance viewership.
So let me ask this then. Like, let's say I bought that ticket. Is she good? Like, is the potential to incorporate a VR element to the stage show? And then what does that look like for those in person?
True. And I think that's where it goes back to artistry and crafting your tour.
That part.
Most tours do have screens. Not everyone does. I understand that.
I don't have a screen.
You went to the Beyonce concert. I saw it on TikTok, like for free.
Like everybody else did, and saw the little challenge, the quiet challenge.
Shout out to all those TikTok people who just use up all your battery life on that.
And that follow Artistry Ascending.
Yes.
That part.
But if as an artist, and we always talk about this, there's only a handful of artists that actually do put on shows. And
actually really think about all the dynamics they're in. Yeah.
Like the Beyoncés, the Taylor Swifts, like those are acts that you want to be immersed with them. Right. Now, if I can't be there, and this how it gives me an opportunity to be there, you're not up in the value of this getting more viewership than you had before.
True. So you're opening, I agree with that. So you're opening it up to the potential of getting more eyes on it. So there's incorporating VR into your concert. I know that's probably going to be very complicated. So only somebody like a Taylor Swift or Beyonce, or let's go all the way back like Cher, Mariah Carey, those who got like big followings and big budgets to be able to do those type of numbers and those type of dynamics. Let's take it to a lower audience, a lower scale. I want to put him in this classification, but since he went on that album with Bruno Mars, it's not the case anymore. But let's say Anderson .Paak decides to put on a VR concert.
Okay.
As an artist, now, am I making it a concert or is a presentation because it's not in person?
Good point.
You know what I mean? It's less a concert because there's nobody to interact with.
It's double the work. It's definitely double the work.
Right.
And when Silk Sonic came out here in LA, they did a show at the Peppermint, which is a very intimate space.
Very much so. And their show lends, I saw them in Vegas. Their show lends to an intimate type of audience.
So I do agree that there is an opportunity where some artists you want, for example, saw Tony. Right. No cameras, no visuals were ever allowed. So you had to experience yourself there.
You told me about that, yeah.
But it was being recorded on their end. So somewhere they're going to plan on releasing that content somewhere in the world. But is it a downfall to say, hey, but you over in Montana or you in Japan, you are a big fan of me by paying $10.
Right.
You get the before show, during the show, and after the show experience.
That's actually a pretty dope idea.
But again, there's like a small list of artists
that are thinking like that.
Will think like that.
So I think in terms of the VR, it definitely opens up the conversation a lot more, and it opens up the dynamicism of a full-fledged concert. Certainly on the big scale side with the large budget, you could incorporate VR element. I think that it might have the in-person crowd suffer just a little bit.
True.
Because it's going to be a couple eyesores. Because this is still relatively new, and how do you incorporate that into a live show? But that would be dope to consider. And that would lend to like people who have residencies like Usher in Vegas, where you have to travel to Vegas to see it. So if you had the VR element, well, now you could still see him in that Vegas element. You can't now because residency is ended. He's about to go on tour. But how dope would it have been to have that VR experience while he was still at Vegas? All right, other side, the presentation of just a VR experience. I think that one, It definitely, I think that part lends itself to just really like times when you cannot leave. Or bet, prime example, when an artist is like doing a movie.
Yep.
And they're locked away on set. I'm gonna take it old school. This is old school for y'all. This is really relevant for me. Exhibit with Pimp My Ride.
Yeah.
Whole reason why he left the show is because he was going overseas to do a tour, and then Pimp My Ride was like, "Well, we need you just to come back for a couple of days just to do this show."
Yeah, a couple of one-liners and stuff like that.
But let's translate that into an actual a concert.
Yep.
Other way around. He's working on Pimp My Ride, and he has this show. Well, he can't do it because of his obligations, but the VR element might have allowed for him to be able to actually simultaneously do both.
True. Now, I'll ask you this question. You mentioned a lot of big names.
Did.
For our viewership,
right.
Not all of us are big names. Sorry, but it's true. But
you can change that right now at home by subscribing to Mark W Live and going through my whole catalog and getting acquainted. Anyway, you were saying?
So as an up and coming artist that doesn't have the reach as an Usher, a Celine Dion,
yeah.
Is there a better opportunity to introduce that into your discography of presentation? Instead of going, okay, IG Live is IG Live.
Yeah.
It's not the best quality. We saw that on Versus. It wasn't quite the best. But
it's not the best way to
as
showcase
the budget got better with Apple getting involved, it changed the whole production. Is this a good thing or bad thing for up and coming artists to get exposure to another masses? So instead of just going to my playlist, going to my track, come watch me perform.
So I think it's headed in that direction. I don't think it's quite there yet for the local artists, simply because of budgetary means.
True.
So let's take, for example, Curtis King. Curtis King, we talked about this in another episode, but Curtis King, Thurs, and La Russell. La Russell goes live often from his backyard doing rehearsals or rehearsals. Rehearsals. I think that's a dope name. I'm jealous I didn't think about that. But he goes live all the time doing that. So that's technically like you're getting a show online. Yeah. Curtis King is doing it where he's setting it up in his living room. And I just attended his first one. Dope show. I'm going to the next one, going to the next one. Dope as hell, where he sits up in his living room and he basically streams it live from his platform. Then, who was it? Thurs. He does it in his living room. It's a little bit more produced, but same concept. Performing from an enclosed space. I think so you remember how long it took for us just to be able to start setting up our phone and getting the audio into the stream without all these extra pieces of equipment. Well, the VR element, not only, we're thinking of the consumer with the goggles, but for those setting it up, it's 360 camera models. That's 360 microphones. That's somebody to mix in 360 space. I remember trying to do that when it first happened. To be able to do that in a live element without the budget to support, I think we're not there yet. Yeah,
I believe that. I mean, with technology, with anything like the ability
but it's going to advance.
The ability to record your own self was very limited, but now phones
it's right here.
It gets it right there. So it will be interesting going forward with technology and consumers, relationship consumers with the artists as well as technology. How much does that evolve and become accessible for artists to have that ability? Yeah. As well as the consumer to be able to see the value in that experience.
Facts. But I also think, I will say this, even though the budget is not there and the access to this technology isn't there on a local level, I do think, and I'm going to say this straight to the artist, you should be thinking in these lines because eventually you will have access to them if you keep going. I suggest you keep going. When you do have access to these things, how will you move in that space? It's the worst thing in the world is to play catch up to technology.
Oh, yeah.
Because by the time you get to the point where you can actually manipulate it how you see fit, it's already 2 years away from it.
Which is a great segue to the next question. We've been playing with a lot, AI in music.
Okay.
So
let's jump into it.
Accessibility, reaching up to the times of technology and how it's progressing with artists and the industry of music and access to the world. AI music creation. We were talking about this off camera.
Yeah, we sure were.
Be able to make a DAC tape, be able to record yourself, be able to sample. So my question to you is about, how do you see the role of AI playing in today's era in predicting what the future of AI does for music creation, whether you're a writer, producer, Because I know a lot of artists out there are experimenting with it.
They are experimenting, and I think in some of the best ways possible, considering artistry as the basis. Because, and I'm a sidetrack real quick, we remember who was the first ever signed AI rapper?
Oh,
I can't remember the name.
Racist dude?
The racist dude, yeah. Well, see, there's a fine line with that as far as racist.
Well, I say racist in the sense of two white dudes created a character of a hypothetical what a typical rapper looks like.
True. Now, I will say it's definitely stereotypical. It's prejudiced as hell, and I don't like what they created.
By the way, we don't condone racism.
We don't condone racism. We don't condone bigotry. Stay in your lane off of this page if you with all that yin yang. Anyway, so with that character, right? There were a few things. One, it was a completely AI generated body.
Yep.
But I don't believe the production was AI generated, right?
No, it was kind of based in the real world.
Right. And then the voice was actually somebody's real voice.
Yes. And I believe that artist came out saying he had no idea his voice was being used for that content.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's okay. Yeah. We'll get into that. It's on the same lines. And then the lyrics, though, was it him that was writing the lyrics as well? Yeah.
So the rap, I will have to find the rapper's name, but there was a rapper they hired to record a rap song just as a regular rapper. Like, hey, I want you to do a rap song for me. We'll pay you this amount much money.
Right.
And he didn't find out until people started recognizing the voice.
Got you.
And he's like, yo, that sounds kind of like
my voice.
But he's like, yo, but why did they make it look like that? Because that's not what I look like. And why are you using my content?
So he wasn't known. That takes it to a whole nother level that I wasn't even aware of. But it does lend to this conversation. So let me just talk about my little piece within the AI space then, because I've been creating AI images. And what I've been told is be careful with using these AI images, especially when it comes to album artwork and then putting it out as your own work or copywriting, whatever it is you do, putting it out for a commercialized purpose. So because it's an amalgamation of work that already exists. So to that sense, when it comes to AI music, I know that you can remember I said all this with that artist, you can manipulate the way they look, because we saw that as a game show. I can't remember it was like a voice, but it was all AI generated images of the artists that were singing. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I cannot remember.
It was like in a sense of a voice or America's Got Talent. But whatever it is, the case, you can create a body, you can create a voice, you can create the lyrics, everything can be AI generated. But just like with that artist, that AI generated artist that was signed, there was a disconnect, there was something wrong. I think the human eye can tell you when something is wrong and something's artificial about this. So I think a human touch will always be needed when generating AI. To that point though, AI for me has been a great tool. In a sense of it's been almost like that little sounding board that I can go to. Like I'm stuck. I need something to help me real quick.
It's like a good dartboard, like a good rough draft of like.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a place where I can throw out ideas and see where it takes me.
Like so real quick, for the audience at home, even for this show, we said it on the last episode, but AI. So, but in the same sense, we do it with some of the scripts that we come up with posting up on Instagram. Yeah. Like the description. We throw it up on GPT. This is what we needed to say. What you got? All right. I wouldn't say that. That don't sound right. But we kind of break it apart, and then all of a sudden a new idea formulates from it.
True. I mean, there's also a dark side to it where accessibility comes with, laziness. Because if it does it for you, and as an artist, as yourself, even for me and myself as a DJ, when it becomes too accessible and it does it too much for you, do you as an artist find yourself, or do you think artists will start taking a step back and realizing, well, this 16 bars I gotta write used to be a challenge for me to write. But now, ChatGPT write me a song about, cars, whips, and chains.
So again, I think the human element of someone being able to tell, like, yo, some may write about this, some is not you're going to have those pieces that fall through.
Now, do you think the consumer knows the difference?
No. I don't think they know the difference, but I think they can feel the difference. And we see that in the longevity of artists that have been flash in the pans, the ones that have been outed as having ghostwriters, not present pop stars, rap stars that kind of have the same braid pattern as me, those excluded, but they've been outed as someone who has a fabricated look, a fabricated existence.
True.
Because somebody found out this wasn't right. And then once the public gets put on notice, it's like, oh no, we ain't rocking with that. It's kind of like, everybody jump on the bandwagon. But to our credit as consumers, once it gets outed, then it's like, oh no, I don't like being lied to. So if you are a lazy artist and you rely on this for so long, I'm not mad at it being an assistant, but once you just use that and call yourself an artist, I think that's where we have an issue too.
So on that note, what if I told you one of your favorite rappers uses AI to rap?
So I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, and what came up in my search was Lupe Fiasco is working with Google to create a language learner on how to use certain keywords to help him expand his vocabulary or connection to words. Yeah. He's a wordsmith. Shout out to Lupe Fiasco. Dope MC.
No, dope MC. I have never taken it away. Just because you in this AI conversation don't mean I think you any lesser.
So as an artist yourself, hearing that, how does that make you feel? And we watched this video before. We'll connect the link in the description. But yeah, Lupe Fiasco essentially is working with Google language model to help people, including himself, to write his first AI rap song. Super dope. He throws out a bunch of keywords. But for you as an artist, how do you feel about that? And would you be open to that idea?
I'm not opposed to the idea. There's just some caveats that I have to understand before really diving into that. It's like, at what point? So what is the program intended to do? What are the possibilities of it doing? And because Lupe is who he is there any type of gatekeeping, or are we leaving this to free will type of deal? Like, I don't know, me personally, if I had access like that, or if I was building a program like this, I would build in certain fail safes as a monster of a lyricist. It's like, hey, we're helping you, not doing it for you. That's what I mean. That's me. That's what I would do. But in the sense of, all right, so if I took myself back to when I'm learning how to concoct a song, put bars together.
Correct.
I think something like this would be a great tool as a launching pad, because it's, for me, like, and I said this off camera, for me, it was like the big homies told me I can't use a thesaurus. I can't use a rhyming dictionary. I have to go off of the words that they throw me in the cipher and then rhyme with that. That was my introduction into it. With this, I feel like it's a bit of a crutch, but to its defense, there's always going to be a crutch. With technology, the crutch level changes.
True. We talked about this before, like, it's really no different from a bunch of people in the studio feeding off each other. And we were talking about this before, like how you're going to rhyme a certain word with a word is not going to the same way I'm going to rhyme a certain word. So we're all learning language models in ourselves as a human factor, a human brain. But now this brain is now, instead of me working together with you, I got this. Let me find what roses and this goes with this and see where it takes me. And I'll write it myself. But I still got to be able to translate that into a hook.
So that made me think, though, in the sense that I learned how to rap, it was the cipher element, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's the cipher element. And then what are you doing with that piece? In this sense, I see it more so as like a songwriter's element, to where you are learning these different words and these different iterations of words to be able to write a song. I think where the two where this side will get trumped is that wow factor of the guy who is like, oh, I can do all that, and they come in and they don't have that formalized training. I think the wow factor is always going to be there, where it's like, oh, you can do that without this? And then I think that's always going to trump it.
especially metaphors. Like, I mean, we don't want to talk about Lil Wayne with metaphors. Like,
wait. Can we call what he does metaphors, or is it just like,
or is just random acts of thoughts?
You know what I mean? Like, it's just putting it like I threw my kid down the step, had a stepchild, like, you know, that type of.
I mean, you can argue the same thing with Cameron.
You said, oh,
same thing about Cameron, where it's like
Cameron's something different.
Hot pot, baby pot, do bot, do like.
Yeah, I'm going a different way with that. He'll never live this down. I keep computers puting. How do you pute a computer? That might be some East Coast stuff, and I don't care how you feel about it. Tell me in the comments. He ain't never gonna live that down in my book. I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
But it's an interesting subject because we talking about, you know, Lupe doing the AI, the Google thing. You know, even as me as a DJ, you know, Serato, Stems,
I remember when Serato came out.
Like the idea of sampling, like we were talking about this with one of our other producers, you know, there's already a system where you can buy loops.
Oh, yeah,
but it's still created by a human being.
Yeah.
But the conversation always is now, what if AI just starts creating a bunch of loops that no longer needs a human being? And by the way, we all see how this movie ends. It's Terminator.
It's going to keep going.
It's going to keep going.
It's going to keep going, and the robots are coming. Look, AI. Yeah. All right.
So as like an artist, and I know you produce too, you do a lot of editing.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel that helps you in your craft now? Does it feel like it gives you ability to have more freedom of a mental space?
Yeah, I will say this though. So me and Mac was talking about, the other producers talking about, it's Mac here with Track Life. I know the tools. So with Photoshop, I knew a picture I wanted to create.
True.
When I jump into Photoshop, I don't know how this tool works, so I can't make the picture I see in my head. I had to learn the tools. With certain advancements in technology, I no longer have to take a class. I don't have to sit through YouTube University. It's easier to get to. I don't have to know how to work the program to get what I want out of the program. And I think that is dope. But nothing forsakes the process of getting to that space and then appreciating the access. Because I think that's what, it's a great story that you bring up with Serato. I remember when Serato came out, one of my DJ partners came up and he had this flash drive and he was waving it around fervently. I was like, what's going on? He's like, you don't understand. I have my whole catalog right here. I was like, yo, I really don't understand. What's happening? He was like, look, you see that whole deck over there? I no longer have to carry that whole milk crate of records. All I got to use is this. And he broke down what Serato was and how it's used and what you could do with it. And I was just like, yo, that's dope. Because I knew they were a whole DJ team and they had like 7 crates that they brought with them. That's
part, like you said, like the same thing with Cypher. It's doing your dues, like you carried vinyl. Whatever you carried with you, that's what you're playing that night.
And you have a better, that's all you can play that night.
Don't request for
with
nothing.
Serato though, and with the advancements of Serato, you can bring everything on your thumb drive and you can connect online, download it right there, spin it. If it dropped 5 minutes ago during a set.
Oh.
So in the same sense, like the access is dope, but when you have an appreciation for what it took to be able to get to this point of access, I think you can use it all the more creatively.
True, but there's always gonna be a dark side to it because we talked about this before.
I don't like dark sides.
I know. We talked about it before, like there's always gonna be a dark side to technology. We've seen it throughout history. We didn't talk about what era was great in music. Like, this era was always great.
I'm partial to the 90s.
But we also gotta admit, there was an era where we had no access to the world. So there was a lot of whack, shit that was just never heard because that was a good gatekeeping. We kept that from the airwaves.
The lack of access, that's good gatekeeping.
So reason why I say that now is like accessibility now. There's a lot of noise already in the world.
Yeah.
Now you gave an opportunity where the hardship that you learned to put the effort in, the Dr. Dre's of the world, the Kendricks of the world, the Beyoncés of the world,
the Lupe,
the J. Cole's, the so on. Now every kid can see that as opportunities, like, and especially as new artists.
Right.
Do you see that now as a quicker access world? Oh, I can do what they do now.
So, in essence, yes, you could do what they do, but you can't do what they do.
Oh, do tell them.
So there is an innate trait that greatness just has. And it doesn't matter how much you try to fabricate it or replicate it, it's always going to fall short. You say it all the time, cream is always going to rise to the top. And I believe in that. It's just, it's going to be a little murky at first. it's gonna be a little murky at first. Like when you were able to, I remember when you were first able to record in your own home.
Yeah.
I heard some really trash mixes.
I mean, we heard there was no such thing as a word of engineering.
There was no, man, I was guilty of this. When I first got my my little 512 megabyte computer and a little whack interface, plugged my mic up, recorded something, all I did was, in a cracked version of Sonar, all I did was throw on presets on everything and called it mixed.
And you thought that shit was bumping.
No, I didn't. Oh, but I definitely passed it off. So I did not think it was good, for the record. Yeah, but I definitely, I was able to do it. That's why I put it out. But the ideas were, the idea of where it could go could still be heard. I think, like you said, gatekeeping stopped a lot of that.
Yep.
Because the access to be able to put it up on streaming at that time when I was doing it wasn't as accessible. You still had to know somebody who had a TuneCore account and could afford all that goodness. Now it's, I'm gonna sign up for DistroKid, I'm gonna sign up for United Masters and throw that up tonight.
Yeah, put me on SoundCloud. I'm gonna go buy it.
So it's gonna be murky at first, in consideration with AI and AI music, and then access to be able to do what Lupe is insinuating here. It's like there's gonna be people who abuse it because those are the ones that are gonna rush to do it.
Oh yeah.
They're going to rush to do it.
Anything we talked about these before in the last episodes, like anything that's going to allow you to go viral, that go quicker. Yeah. If I can knock out 13 songs in 10 minutes, who said I can't do that? But it doesn't mean if I shoot 30 shots and 2 of them go in. Hey.
No, LaRussell said this on his page. He's like, you shot 100 shots, but that one was the game winner. You think they care about the 99 you missed?
Listen.
I hate to twist your words like that because you said it from a real good place. Don't go run back and tell Russell I'm twisting his words. That's not what we do here.
But that's the thing, like, it's going to be a lot of noise. And we're so early in the game. People are having access to it, which goes into the next conversation of vocals. Woo! And I know we talk about T-Pain a lot.
Yes, we do.
T-Pain can sing, but that auto-tune took him off.
It did.
It's like a hip hop hate. And now hip hop is auto-tune.
I ain't gonna lie. At first, I did hate the auto-tune. I thought the songs were cool. Bartender, I thought it was a little gimmick. I thought it was a gimmick at first. But then what's the other one? I'm in love with a stripper. No, it was I'm in love with a stripper than a bartender, right?
Yeah.
So, and then Bartender came out, stripper, excuse me, then Bartender came out, and I'm like, okay, this little fag went going. And then, his album came out. And I'm like, yo, what is going on? I didn't listen to that album. You know what made me a fan though? It was the one song on that album that did not have auto-tune on it. It was with him and, Styles P.
Really?
Or it might have had a little auto-tune on it, but I'm high.
All right.
I'm high. I'll still bang that to this day. I don't smoke weed anymore, but I still bang that to this day. Either way, it wasn't until that song where I was like, okay, dude really can vocalize.
Okay.
Because even if there was a little bit of auto-tune on it, after working with it the way I have, it's like, you really got to know what you're doing. You can't just throw it on there and expect it to make magic.
True. So then to the shift of that, the viral song that went around, actually almost won triple platinum, was a Drake Weekend song. That was all 100% AI created.
Like everything on there was
the whole thing. It wasn't like taking acapella from this track and taking acapella from this track. I think he used ChatGPT. We'll find the video. We'll post in the link.
Got you.
Wrote ChatGPT as write me a verse as Drake. Write me a verse as The Weeknd.
Wow.
Because again, we talk about AI is an open source of information gathering. Whatever's on the web is going to learn what's on the web. Okay. Shout out to Terminator. But he was able to create a whole song in the beat. And people literally dropped it during sets that were like on live sets, on YouTube.
So let me ask this first though. Did it sound like not a robot, but like there's a little bit of digital artifacts in the vocals and all? Did it sound like a straight delivery?
It fooled everybody.
Wow.
Because it was the most viral thing that you thought Drake and Weeknd dropped a no track just randomly.
And aren't Drake and Weeknd's having some beef right now? Or they're at odds. I'm not gonna say beef, but they're not.
It's Toronto.
It's Toronto.
Shout out to all the Toronto people.
It's Toronto.
But
why you say it like you actually from Canada?
But I say that because like we all have our favorite artists in the world. We always talk about like, yo, what if Prince and Rick James actually did a song together? So
somebody did a mashup of Prince. Was it Prince and Rick James or was it Michael Jackson? I think it was Michael Jackson and Prince.
Michael Jackson.
And
but they're using acapellas of the real song.
Right, of the real song. So in this sense, when you're, I think there has to be, and I think because of this, they're taking those steps of a different type of copyrights to your likeness and not just limited to the physical presence of your face or your body image, anything like it. It actually comes down to even your vocal presentation. Sure. Because what if, who else has a very distinct voice?
DMX.
Who?
DMX.
DMX. Well, I'm thinking of somebody that's living, but let's take DMX. A very distinct vocal pattern. You use his voice in the song, regardless if he wrote it or not, okayed it or not, like, oh snap, I'm listening to it, especially for an avid DMX fan.
True.
So I'm gonna listen to it regardless. So then if you don't have, I think it comes down to like a permission thing. Like, do you have, and this is where it becomes a little scary because this is uncharted. Like I've never been able to steal somebody's voice and put it. I heard Jay-Z feature on so many underground tracks.
Like we talk about the White album with the Beatles acapellas with Jay-Z.
Right.
Like, those are things like, oh, what would the Beatles sound with Jay-Z? But the fact that if I wrote Jay-Z's verse as Tupac, like I want Tupac to rap a Jay-Z song. I want Biggie to rap.
Right.
All Eyes on Me. Like
that'd be crazy. But then what are we doing with it? Is it just for shits and gigs or are you waiting until somebody giggles and shits? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
I think in the world we live in, I mean, I see two sides of the coin. It's one of those cool factors because that Drake Weekend song was dope.
But yeah, who's benefit? Because it comes down to the bucks. It always comes down to the bucks.
The artist does not benefit. No. But is it challenge the artist to say like, man, we actually should work together?
Now that's okay.
Now does it push this?
No, I like the perspective.
Because the reason why I said that, because we talk about it a lot. Sometimes you grow in your career, you get kind of lazy, you get kind of stagnant. And there's always hypotheticals like, yo, what if, like what was the original group? It was supposed to be Ja Rule, Jay-Z, and DMX.
I heard about that. Yeah.
We never got that. We're supposed to get Black Hippie album.
We never got that. But we got snippets.
We got snippets of it. So the fact that we always have these things out there, we never got them.
So somebody could potentially force the hand and force the issue to come to fruition, essentially.
Like LeBron said, he takes full credit that we got that on title album for Kendrick because he told Top.
Get out. Yeah, I remember that.
But again, like you said, like the force of the community, the fans, they want it. But as an artist, you don't got time. Cole don't got time.
Right.
Absol don't got time.
Because we were supposed to get a Kendrick and Cole album.
Never.
Don't let me understand how to take somebody's AI voice and make it happen because I'll put that together myself. I'll write both of their bars.
Well, if you are, please.
Do it and send it to me and we'll debut it here on Artistry.
So the reason why I ask is like, you ask, is it good for the artist? No.
Not at all.
It's great for the consumer because as consumers, we always have these debates about like, who's the top 5? Who can rap the best? Who can out sing? Oh, if so-and-so did this song, they would have killed it. Now it's like, you know what? Let's see what they would sound like.
So now we can actually take that, go on ChatGPT, write a verse as, hook as, AI the voice, put it through now I think the voice that is going through, because I've heard Patrick and SpongeBob kill some R&B songs on Instagram and TikTok. But to me, the vocal performance of the person manipulating the waves has to be pretty close to how that person would intonate and do their thing. So I think that's the limitation there. But at the same time, I got to bring it back to it hurts the artist when they don't protect their likeness.
100%.
And that's uncharted territory where we definitely got to do that. Because this new, find some way to protect it because we got to protect that part.
I mean, as a fan, as an artist, I love it.
See, that's I'm gonna draw the line in the sand on that one. I don't get twisted. I do like it, but I liken it back to when I was when I was burning people's CDs. I was burning people's CDs all the way up.
Allegedly.
You said alleged?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. when I was allegedly going on Pirate Bay and burning CDs. And it was only for myself. It wasn't selling it. But as I got into as I got into making music and then having the audacity to want people to buy it, I'm like, I'm sitting here ripping off people's music. Yeah, I'm the only one that's going to enjoy it, but I got to give that back. And I think about that every time I hear an AI verse on somebody's record. I got a question in that. 100%. Did that artist okay that? Did they see something from that? This is viral, or like the greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Oh. Yeah, man. You remember how much of an uproar that was a great vibe. Now, to be honest, all respects due, Sister Mother Queen, you lost on that one. You should have let
it go.
You should have let that one go.
Listen.
Work it out with your team on the back end and collect those chips.
The black delegation was over.
Because that's going to keep going every year. Either way, we saw when that happened, she went all up in arms about making sure that you got the proper channels cleared.
True.
The same thing can happen on a regular basis with these AI generated voices. That's the only place where I'm like, we got to do something about that. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like with anything. Like we want to talk about the devil side of the music. It's only going to benefit somebody.
It's going to benefit somebody.
It's also going to hurt a lot of people.
I want it to benefit the artist.
And we always agree that sometimes it's never 50-50. It's
somebody. So look, yeah, somebody has to win. In business, somebody has to win. Unfortunately, in the AI business, in this sense, the artist is going to lose.
So we talked about this before, like playlists, tracks, certain styles of music. Mm. There's an article about AI to be able to, I think the new Apple OS is coming out where Siri's getting advanced now.
Siri's what?
Siri, the actual device for Siri. You have an Android. I forgot you have an Android.
I have Android, yes. Sorry. Sorry, I am on the right team.
For Android users, there's a thing called Siri. It's not the smartest thing. I'll agree. I'm an Apple user. But they're saying the next thing, because like every company right now is trying to get advanced in AI.
Right.
So the conversation with that is the new iTunes you can be able to curate your own vibe music. So right now you can create your own, go on Spotify, Tidal.
And I can manually put together some stuff.
But what if I said sad, sappy, uplifting country music? On iTunes, it will start generating songs that match those tonalities and moods.
Now, how curated can you get though? Can you get specific? So, all right, so let's say I want to do it with all country. Mm-hmm. What can I tell it what artists I want to hear from?
You probably can most likely introduce an artist. So the reason why I say is it's going to become just like ChatGPT, where the more verbiage I give it to it, it's going to learn more about my work. Just like we talked about with algorithms based off how much you're looking at it, how much you're searching. But what if I can control now my algorithm and create my own playlist? So I bring this conversation to you because as an artist, given the ability to be on Track Life and be on playlists and all these different things, do you feel that it's going to help the consumer, if even artists that are trying to become on playlists, does that limit them from getting on playlists? Because if you don't fit that mood, you're not going to get placed. Versus like you're an R&B singer, you're going to be somewhere in the R&B genre. If you're a country singer, you're going to be placed in the country.
You said, what will that do for artists? I think it goes a little bit deeper than just having a curated playlist and missing out on being in an R&B genre when you do pop. I think it goes deeper than that because, all right, so give you an example. I was on a ChatGPT out of curiosity one night. Mm-hmm. I'm asking, because I'm trying to figure out how to use it. Do you know who Drake is? Spits me out all this information about Drake. Do you know who 21 Savage is? All this information. Do you know who Justin Bieber is? Do you know who Mark W is? I'm sorry, but if they haven't come out within the last couple of I don't.
Because there's a certain time frame of information that it's always pumping out.
But Mark W was released not too long ago.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? St. James. Nope, don't know who that is.
Shout out to St. James.
Shout out to St. James. Lisa Mona. Shout out to Lisa Mona. Anthony Gray. Shout out to Anthony Gray. These are all people I know. If you want me to shout your name out, get to know me. Follow me on Instagram. So when it comes to the automated playlist, it could hurt you. That's why I was like, can you specify? How detailed can you specify? Because what if I say, I don't want somebody that's in the Billboard top such 100. I want an artist that's localized. They might, because of an AI generated list that has access to an open source, and I'm not popular enough to even come up on that open source list, well, then now I suffer.
True.
So I don't even think I would come as a local artist. Obviously, if you have millions of followers, legitimately, and you kind of get the algorithm moving yourself, well, then all right, bet. That's what's up. Good for you. But for us local artists, we don't necessarily get that deep into it. So is it a hindrance? No, I think it's another consumer product.
It's more a win for the consumer versus the artist.
It's another win. And look, we're going to take a lot of L's as we figure out this AI thing.
I mean, you can say the test of time, every artist is taking an L.
Yeah.
It's part of the nature.
It's part of it. And that's going to happen. I think this is another challenge that we have to overcome, and we have to figure out how to get around, circumvent, overdo, use for our advantage. But right now, it's so open and most things are happening, but it's all tailored for the consumer experience.
It's also
the artist is not.
Yeah, and it's also tailored to, we talk about the machine all the time.
Yeah.
It's always going to be catered to what's known by the masses.
Yeah.
We always talk about like what's pop music. Whatever is that popular music is at the time.
Yeah, whatever is popular. It might be R&B, it might be rock, it might be alternative.
And it's like, as an artist, how do you think you can defeat that? Like, how can artists get together? We talk about independency. We talk about doing this. Yeah. How do you think we can manipulate the system? Because we've seen a lot of artists do that, where there's one group that did a silent album on Spotify.
Yes. Shout out to y'all for really manipulating the algorithm, like 100%. I feel bad for your fans a little bit. Well, no, the fans were in on it too.
There's the reason why it took off because of the fans.
Yes, that's right. The fans are the one who like, oh no, put it on repeat, go to sleep.
Yeah, because it helps us, it gets us placement, but it also makes us money. So reason why I say that is, as an artist in manipulating the system where you type in yourself in ChatGPT and you got nothing.
Right.
But you go on Wikipedia, do you have a Wikipedia page?
No. So the thing about Wikipedia is you got to have somebody else. I could write my own Wikipedia. We tried it. Didn't work. It don't take, because if they find out it comes from
you yourself or your IP address.
Your IP, you're done. Like, get rid of it.
I think you need a VPN, bro.
I probably might need it. That sounds like a sponsorship we need to have.
Yeah. We talked a lot about AI. We talked about the pros and cons, the goods, the bads, the machine that is we know as Terminator.
Right.
Might fuck up the whole game.
Yeah.
The artist might get screwed over. The business might make money, but there's always some good sides as an artist like yourself. So what are some of your future predictions you see as yourself using it today that you can give our audience your predictions?
Well, it's going to be a little murky at first, honestly. And we're showing evidence that it's murky. And everything with AI is geared towards the consumer. But if we and not to say that we can't kick out some dope stuff with AI artwork. So I think what we need to do is get a little bit more innovative. So there's going to be a learning curve. So the future is we're gonna get a bunch of perpetrators. We're going to get a bunch of people who act like they know what they're doing, and they're going to get some clout off of it. But eventually, I give it about 2 years where the true artists, the true greats are really going to learn the system that is AI, learn where the open source is pulling from. I mean, even when we were off camera, you were telling me that there is a different worldwide, like not Google, but a Google search. What was it called?
Alibaba. So like Midjourney is not using the Google search engine.
Exactly.
So like ChatGPT and everything is pulling from multiple sources of information.
Right.
But when it comes to imagery, it's actually not pulling from what you're thinking it's pulling from.
Yes.
So that's why you get a lot of weird imagery, a lot of weird things that don't match your verbiage.
Right.
So it's like it says, an artist doing thumbnails or trying to find inspiration. It's not pulling from what you're normally using to Google things.
Yes.
It's pulling from a whole nother source that, again, it's unknown. It's open source, but it's unknown source.
But it's not a source that we know. So, yeah. I think we're starting to understand the nuances of this technology, and just like with anything, when you find a new thing, you got to kind of bump your head a few times, figure out how it works, what does work, what doesn't work. So I think right now we're in the learning curve. Obviously, the technology is going to get better, but I think the future is we're going to start seeing imagery and the application start to marry a little bit better, and then the articulation of the vision is going to come full circle. And I think we're going to get some really dope art from it within the next couple of years. It's gonna take a second to really get there to where it's like presentable, but I do think we're in a good learning place. We just got to sit tight and let those who are not really artistic do what they do. In fact, we could probably let them go for it. I say don't get so upset when you start seeing people mess it up. Yeah, learn from that.
I think the more you fail at it, the better you learn from it.
Absolutely.
It's the same way like you talk about performing.
Yeah.
If you ain't crashing, are you really actually performing? Because you didn't learn from nothing to get better at.
Yeah, if you don't actually mess up like I think you said crashing. If you're not actually getting up on stage and having a fallout, crash down, something messed up beyond your immediate knowledge of control, you're not experimenting enough. You're not going through enough to test those boundaries. And with this AI piece, we really got to test these boundaries. We got to mess up. We got to let those fakes crash. We also got to crash a few times too to find out what's going to work.
Oh, 100%.
In our favor.
Yeah, because I think the more, same thing we talked about before off camera about, the more experienced people that have been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
My advice would be don't avoid this. It's the same way people said, man, CDs will be the lifetime. MP3s, that's whack. Why you want people to say? Guess what happened? Man, I don't want people streaming my music.
I was one of those people that when MP3s came out, I was juiced.
You should.
I had MP3 CDs. Like those are the ones where you can
put like 100 plus.
Man.
So that's why I said like, for those who are in the industry right now, whether you're up and coming big time, same thing what I do as a DJ, like you can't avoid it.
Right.
But you should learn it. Yeah, there's some bumps. There's some goods, there's some bads.
Absolutely.
But the more that we insert ourselves as artists into the conversation, it kind of starts creating some guide rails of how we can utilize it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Versus it's like, man, that's whack. I don't want to use that. And then guess what? Now someone rapping like Mark W.
Yeah.
And I don't need Mark W on my stage. I got Mark W right now. I got a hologram of him. I got the bracelet. He got the Timsy on. We got him. I don't need you no more. But you now asked out. So like as an artist, my advice is always like predictions. Just embrace it and learn it.
That, and I'm right there with you. I think far too often I hear the conversation of that's not real or that's not true art. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's not going anywhere. So it be of your, like we said in another segment, catch up. I mean, don't try to spend so much time playing catch up as it is learning what it is right now, because it's the bag is open, cat's left, it's never coming back. Get with the program. And I think that's where a lot of artists fall short, especially with a lot of stuff that's come out in the past, where we start seeing those artists get labeled as old. You know what I mean? Like
we talk about a lot of old heads.
I mean, but here's I think there's a difference between someone calling you an OG, an old head, or someone just calling you old.
True.
Because I think those things are signs of respect. If you're getting called old, you've lost touch with the time. You've got left behind and you didn't want to keep learning as technology advances, because with the advancement of technology, you have a new canvas to paint on. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's another tool. It's another DAW. It's another Photoshop. It's another Illustrator. It's another turntable.
I don't want to learn another DAW, but yeah, I got you.
But like you said, like the more you're embracing the AI situation, it's more pungent than it's ever been in music now. Like art, like NFT, we talked about that a long time ago. Like that was supposed to be the future of art. Didn't go nowhere. It's still there, but AI in music as an artist, whether you're a DJ, a singer, a rapper, producer, it's just a whole brand new canvas that we haven't quite explored yet. Yeah. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be scary. It's going to be stupid. It's going to be a lot of whack things, a lot of crazy things, a lot of things that might inspire us to be like, I didn't know I could do that.
See, that's the part that gets me excited though, because I love stumbling upon those, I call them happy accidents. Oh. When you find out, ooh, I didn't mean for that to happen, but it did happen. Yeah. How can I do that again? And then how can I make it better?
It's like when you get a curly fry Jack in the Box and you wear regular fries, you're like, damn.
Okay, so you know they do that on purpose, right? Like,
oh yeah, that's bait and switch. I get it. It's a
but
pusher.
You're right though. The analogy works. It's like, ooh, I got a curly fry.
Yeah.
I might need to go ahead and get the whole thing curly fries.
Exactly.
Absolutely, man. I think we're in a good learning spot, and I think it's pivotal for us as artists. So the future is it's kind of based on our movement. I think it's based on how we decide to attack this thing and how we decide to address it, whether we accept it or reject it. And I think it's the wrong, and this is bad, I don't like telling artists they're wrong, but I think it's the wrong place to be when you reject an idea.
Oh, 100%.
When you reject the advancement of something. Absolutely.
Because we know how that ends.
Yeah.
You become
it never ends well.
You become the old head.
You become old, not an old head. See? No. I just got done saying it's a sign of respect.
Hey, not these kids out there. So in conclusion, Mark.
Yeah.
What's your advice to the audience?
In conclusion, man, technology is booming and it's never going to go away. Technology will always advance. Now, more than ever, it's going at a really alarming rate, especially when it comes to how we handle ourselves as artists. And I think it's behoove of us to get with the times and not fall behind. These conversations happen on a regular basis. You see them in conspiracy concept, in practice, and in inceptions. The Skynet conversation, I think we need to avoid. Skynet has been here since you heard about Skynet in Terminator. And if you don't know what Skynet is, you're too young to be at my table. I'm just messing with you. We'll educate you on that. But all the same, don't be afraid of it. And I think a lot of artists are afraid of what it means for their artistry. If you're afraid of how you will succeed in this art, in this world of art, you might want to check who you are as an artist and if you're even really in this life, because you can never really fake being an artist. Nobody can do, no entity can do what it is you do. Remember that. Always remember that. No program, no computer, nothing, no machine can replicate a human touch. So above all, remember that. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very long conversation here at Track Life with Artistry Ascending. We got to meet our producer, Darius. You might see him every now and again. He might step from behind his computer and we might chop it up. But I think today was a good one. If you want to see more of Darius, let me know in the comments. You might have seen him at a couple events. I'm not going to blow up his spot, but if you want to see more of him, let me know in the comments. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tapping in. You know who I am. I'm your man's, the meticulously multi-talented Mark W. coming at you one more time. Yet again, how are you? If you like this content, please make sure you subscribe to Track Life, share it with a friend, and make sure you come back. Tap in with me. I always tap back. Peace.
Darius was actually an AI-generated version of the whole entire specimen.
Oh, shit.